Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Circle Mate Podcast Top 5 of the Week, here week 21, 21. This is once again your host, Devious One, Ivan C, alongside with the beaters and the Cordonas. I can go all the list above. He's the list of the Matts and the list of the Kellermans as well, Mr. MGC, Matthew Steamboat, also alongside with What You're Gonna Do when Mr. Hero Runs Wild on You. That's the great American hero, Mike Lopez. And also we have our brother who's joining us once again through this top 5. He's Mr. CKone himself, and that is Mr. Chris Cannon. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go ahead and start this off. This top 5 is going to be top 5 who should have been a world champion. So I'm gonna go ahead and round it off. I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Mr. Steamboat. I want to hear it. I want you to piss me off, so go ahead and piss me off. Take it away.
It's like I'm purposely somewhat dodging it, more or less. We'll go. I'm either dodging it or I'm taking it head on. So, obviously, we like to go bottom to top. Has anyone gone from top to bottom ever?
Probably before, yes. I think one time. This is like, we got to go to our archives on our YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen, so you can see that. That's top 5.
Definitely check that out, and don't forget to subscribe. So I'm gonna go bottom to top. So number 5. Let's see. I think this is probably the closest I could probably come to shaking some leaves with my number 5 pick. But I honestly believe it's a good pick. So number 5, who should have been champion, Billy Kidman.
Ah, okay, Billy Kidman.
In WWE. Is that what we're going with?
In WWE or WCW?
I go with WWE because it was about time. I actually rewatched some of this stuff on Velocity, and he had a really good angle going with Paul London. He did 2 shooting star presses to Paul London while he was them taking him away on a medical gurney. And then he was cutting promos. He's doing like a cocky Ric Flair thing. And I'm like, yeah, this was, if there was any time, this was Billy Kidman's time. But I mean, it's a shame because they were putting that on Velocity. Meanwhile, you had Brock and Triple H dominating the world title scenes on both shows. So I would have rather seen this as the main event, because it was such a rich storyline. Much love. Billy Kidman's the main trainer now. So he's everybody's kind of absorbing him into him and whatnot. So yeah.
And a sidebar to that was, if it wasn't for the WWE title, I don't see why they couldn't have put the bastard ECW title on him.
Yeah, that would have been perfect.
They gave it to Lashley, which is fine. I don't have any problems with that. But
yeah, no, definitely. It should.
Maybe give it to Kidman and then have Lashley take it off of him. That would have made so much sense.
Definitely, yeah, that does make sense. But I'm trying to remember, was he still wrestling during that time? Because when the ECW brand was part of a third brand extension, but I don't remember if he was still.
I gotta look up, when did Billy Kidman retire?
I don't remember.
I got that wiki right up here, so let's find out.
Oh wait, he retired in 2008 apparently.
Was that was about that time, right?
I believe so. Yeah, about that time.
Yeah, let me find out when Bobby Lashley won the ECW title. Bobby Lashley ECW title.
We're actually looking up dates.
No, that's when he was. Come on.
2006, no?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So that was well within the Kidman era. That was right when Kidman.
Yeah. So that would have been a perfect for retirement run for him. Before the end, kind of like how Jerry Lynn had his last run with the title. You know what? Because I
love Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn.
You know what? Because it's people who we could do if they didn't win the world title in one organization, but they won it in the other. Because originally my number 4 was Ricky Steamboat, but he had such a great run with the NWA title. That was, if he just stuck, I think he was really a lot better in WCW than he was in he got paid more and more people knew him in WWF, but I'd say he's a lot more respected in WCW, NWA, Jim Crockett territory. My original choice was Ricky Steamboat, but I just remembered Jerry Lynn. I think Jerry would have had a You know, if Jerry stayed with WWF more and somebody else was calling the shots, I think Jerry Lynn would have also been a pretty like amazing, like astounding champion. You know, he's great on the mic. I love his rivalry with AJ Styles in the early 2000s. I love it. I love how he does the Gotch driver, you know, and then you just did the thing. He even does like a death mouth. I'm Jerry Lynn, you know.
Yeah. He used to be a nice, quiet Canadian guy in ECW, and he finally, you know, got out of that shell. I don't know if it was his booking or his character development, but he was the quiet guy for a long time.
I think that was the issue. That it was his how they book him, especially when his run in WWE. I mean, he had a great run with the light heavyweight title before it became the cruiserweight title. But you know,
promos.
He did. I mean, the battle. I respect Jordan a lot. I love what he did for TNA as well. When the beginning went to him, you know, now known as Impact. But you know, he should have been champ. He should have been.
Yeah. So, number 3, I think a lot of people are going to have the same top 3. I'm going to predict this, you know. So, my number 3, Scott Hall.
Damn it.
We got to do the arms and then.
Yeah, we did, definitely. Yeah.
Like that.
Man,
Scott Hall,
man, that's a solid pick right there. That's makes me rethink my whole list. I'm gonna try not to double up on lists. So
it's fine. It's fine. Like, because we always say great minds think alike whenever we have the same picks.
Yeah, but I didn't even think about that, so I'm not that great. My 5 list has not got Scott Hall on it for some reason.
Well, I gotta say, like I really got into Scott Hall as a baby face. He was a really cool baby face in early TNA, you know, because they booked him again. Like Jeff Jarrett was kind of in his own like reign of terror there in TNA at the time, and he was kind of hogging that title. And I was really cheering for Scott Hall to take that title off of Jeff Jarrett. And the whole idea was like, there was like, he's the outlaw of wrestling, and he just left WWE. He just left as NWO. Now he's like a bad guy turned good. He still has like the bloodstained shorts, and like he's got a cool sounding theme. So I was really getting into him around that time. Like, yeah, now is Scott Hall's time, but he just kept he kept, you know, like Jeff Jarrett kept getting over him. So I was just like, I want Scott Hall to win. And you know, if Hulk Hogan wasn't like such a politician in 90s WCW, you know, he could have been in the title picture. I mean, Macho Man had that title. I mean, he could have at least had one short run with it, you know.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Hulk Hogan being Hogan, you know.
Of course.
Even maybe feuding with Nash in WWF.
Oh, yeah.
Like 96, 97, taking the title from him there instead of Taker taking it, I think is what happened. I think Taker took it from him. And then Taker dropped it to maybe Shawn or some shit like that. But that would have been
WWF or WCW would have been great.
That would have been the era. That would have been where to do it, especially when he was at the prime Razor Ramon, just getting shit thrown at him. I mean, he got shit thrown at him no matter where he was at. That's for sure.
I guess he was definitely very over as a heel, and you know, he would have been he would have, even him taking the title off of Shawn or Brett people would be into it, because like, yeah, Razor Ramon, he's cool, you know, sure, like Diesel's cool, but they made him so squeaky clean as champion, he lost all of his coolness. Scott Hall, he's so cool that you know,
love to hate him. He was good. He became that character in the Scott Hall life. The Razor Ramon became Scott Hall. It's really art imitating life, and then vice versa. Because I've seen interviews with him before the Razor Ramon character, and he was just a guy, you know. He didn't have any of that swagger, that Cubano vibe. But then you see him now, he just became that person. It's pretty insane.
If they put that WWF title on him, like so many kids, I think the toothpick would be as like iconic as "Ooh yeah," and
or the gum, Mr. Perfect spitting the gum out, dude. Like all the great deals had something.
It's funny you mentioned that, because guess who my number 2 is?
Mr. Perfect.
Da-na, da-na. I have a towel here somewhere. I've got a sock instead. I can't catch it.
Yeah. I don't got props for this. Sorry about it.
It's like there's that one meme, only judge me if you're perfect, and it's Kurt Hennig in the clouds pointing down at you, judging you. Like, you're an idiot. Like, I like that meme. Like, only judge me if you're perfect, and then you just put Kurt Hennig there.
It's one of those jokes where you only know what you know. Like, that joke can't be explained.
Or the other was like, only talk to me if you're the perfect man, and then have a picture of Kurt Hennig. It's like whenever people talk about the perfect man or Mr. Perfect, they have to be talking about Kurt Hennig. You know, just like when Billie Eilish is talking about the bad guy, she's talking about Scott Hall. That song's all about Scott Hall.
Hey yo.
Yeah, but Kurt Hennig, you know, WCW or WWF, he's good with either title because he had great runs with both companies. I actually just stumbled upon it. I think I posted in the group, but Kurt Hennig had a match with Nick Bockwinkel, and it was pretty spectacular. I just watched that. It was an AWA match, and
this is what Bernie, when his peak of his career, when I think his dad was still wrestling. His father, I think Axel. I believe that it was I think he was on his way out already. Axel was already out, leaving the company. I think that's when Kurt Hennig came in and his career was barely starting. So I do remember that. Yeah, I definitely remember that.
Winkle, man. So number one, let's drum roll.
I think you skipped number two there.
No, number two was Kurt Hennig.
Number two was
Oh, really? Oh man, I used to smoke a lot of weed back in the day. I'm sorry. That's my bad. I can't count to 5.
Used to and also. Okay, so anyways, drum roll. You guys ready?
Yes.
Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
All right.
of
Totally.
course. Yeah.
Absolutely. That
I
makes
agree.
sense in the world.
He's
Not my number one, but it's definitely a number one pick.
I saw comments in this one video where Hulk Hogan's cutting a promo on Roddy, and the comment was, imagine how much money they could have made if Roddy took the title off of Hulk Hogan. They made Hulk Hogan chase that title for 6 months, and just that battle, you know, it's like when Lex Luthor is dominating, and you know Superman's gotta stop him, or whenever like Captain Hook is dominating and Peter Pan's gotta stop him. It's you know, it's the underdog good guy going after the bad guy, but they just kind of kept Roddy Piper just weak, and it was kind of boring. Hulk Hogan just winning every single time, you know, just too dominant, you know, because Hulk Hogan, once again, I think this is another thing, like Scott Hall and Roddy Piper. He stopped both of these champion. Hulk Hogan's backstage politician kind of stopped these belts from appearing on Piper and Hall, you know.
Yeah.
I think that was before they knew that the psychology behind chasing the bad guy is what sells.
Yeah.
You put the title on the baby face and people get the end of the story. You have that good guy chase the bad guy for 6 months and people tune in wanting to see that bad guy get his ass kicked any day now. And the longer it doesn't happen, the more people tune in. And I don't want to say that's a mistake bookers make, but that's just what keeps people watching. Is like, people couldn't wait to see Johnny Gargano get a hold of Ciampa. That feud lasted a year. And, you know, when it finally happened, it happened. It was awesome. You're just like, man, I can't fucking wait. I'm a Ciampa fan, so I couldn't wait for Ciampa to beat the shit out of him. But
yeah, it's the end of the story. It's the closing chapter. You know,
Piper was perfect for that. Because he could talk shit like Piper at the time.
Dusty Rhodes, I think, had it down to an art. That's why he knew making all the money was from chasing the title. That's why he created the Dusty finish. So some people in the smaller towns could see him win, but then he could lose it immediately after, and then he could keep chasing it. He could just keep the whole thing going. And that's why he's such a genius. He knows how to keep the good guy fresh, you know, no matter how many times he wins, as long as like he creates a way for the good guy to both win and lose at the same time, you know. So I mean, like Hogan Dusty finishing Roddy Piper or vice versa, you know. But I mean, WWF, they want to keep it like, you know, Disney simple, you know, good guy too dominant.
That's the fact.
So,
man.
That is a fact.
My honorable. You guys ready for my honorable mentions?
You got two. Go for it.
This is gonna be quite wacky. This is gonna be out there.
I like that.
All right, here are my two. My first one, Jushin Thunder Liger.
Where? What company?
I'm gonna go for WCW.
What?
World title? Because I think he had the cruiserweight title.
No, he had the cruiserweight, but he never won the main heavyweight champion.
No.
So is that the one?
No, because once again, because it's kind of what was it like not racism, but also like because they've had Japanese champions before, but there's also it's a little bit both racism and sizeism too, because it's all like
definitely size.
I think it's the size thing.
Yeah, because like in the 90s, like oh you got to be this big and you got to be this heavy, which
well the
years
original
have gone by.
The original WCW rule book, not the rules like the kayfabe wrestling rules, but the actual performer rules for backstage notes for wrestling is never go above the second rope. And that held that style down. So it took a long time for them to develop that cruiserweight division. And all props in the world, they took that division somewhere. That division went places. If you look at the slow speed that WWF had and the resistance they had. Because you had Jushin at the same time you had Taka Michinoku.
Yep.
But you had 3 people in WWF in that division. You had I can name 20 people in WCW in that same attitude era that were spectacular to watch. You had 10 lucha guys, a bunch of Japanese people. I would never have heard of Jushin Liger if it wasn't for WCW back at the time. So they definitely were ahead of their time with the smaller flyers. But like you're saying, he would never have made it to the top, especially when Hogan was running shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nash was booking everything too. So that's even
Nash and Eric Bischoff would if you don't drive a motorcycle and you can't drink with Eric Bischoff, then you're not.
Black.
So because you'd have to have somebody else in management at the time if somebody else was in control. Because I think in the JR's biography, it was it was between Eric Bischoff and JR that was offered that position of WCW president. I think somewhat in the early 90s. And I think JR would have been more open to different ideas and stuff like that. And he really saw it more as a global thing. I mean, JR is still there to get today, That's how and we love him. We love him. And I think JR
and his barbecue sauce.
And his barbecue
I
sauce.
still have not had that barbecue sauce.
That Chipotle ketchup though.
Oh, if I had a time machine, I wouldn't change major world events because that would mess up things too much. But it would be stuff like this that I would change. Because if I change major world events, some people might not get born, and then the world might explode or whatever. But if I do something like this, put JR in charge of WCW, and then I'm okay, this would be kind of cool.
I think it would have been different. If JR was in charge.
Who knows who we would not have today? We might
Austin
not
would
have
have
a lot of
Austin
things.
would have stayed in WCW.
Yeah.
Maybe. Because him and Austin were pretty close. They were buddies.
They're like BFFs for sure.
Yeah. So, but I think Liger's amazing. He's a pioneer.
That's a good choice.
So my other pick is Sayama Tiger Mask. The first Tiger Mask.
The first one, right?
Right.
The first Tiger Mask. And I would either have him as NWA champion and Jim Crockett sometime in somewhere between 87 and 91, or I'd make him IWGP champion in the mid 90s to late 90s.
I agree with you. That one I definitely agree 100%. Very underrated. Very underrated. He should have been at least the NWA champion, or the IWGP.
He's a pioneer and he's worthy of the heavyweight title. And then once again, size.
At least the Hall of Fame. At least the Hall of Fame somewhere for sure.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if was New Japan really up the ass on sizeism during the early 90s.
Look at what Antonio Inoki was doing. I mean, he was a big guy, and I think you can't. Okay, I'm going to say this as politically correct as possible. You don't have a big variance in the Japanese sizes. You have the average size, and then you have the monsters. You're more likely than not, you're going to be of the average size in the pro wrestling world that I've seen. There's monsters for sure. Inoki's a big guy. Okada's a big guy. But most of the time, it's more the Great Sasuke style, that size, the average size. So I don't know if there was a big enough difference to even have sizes in there like they do here.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Okay, so Okada's 6'3", Tanahashi's 5'11", Kota Ibushi's 5'11", Tetsuya Naito's 5'11".
Yeah.
So, and Marufuji, Marufuji's 5'9". He's my height. That's kind of why I like him so much. And Kenta's 5'9". So I think maybe like that. It's more likely somewhere in like maybe the later 90s, you know. But I mean, All Japan wasn't like as like. I mean, they had a giant in charge. They had Giant Baba in charge of their company. But I'd say like later 90s, All Japan. Noah didn't come along, but Noah was really open to a lot of cool ideas because you know Misawa. He was like that's why like discovering pro wrestling Noah's been like a gold mine for me. You know, so like all the different sizes and all the different types of moves you could see and the atmosphere of it. But yeah, like you know, Tiger Mask would have been Sayama would have been great in a lot of like, I guess like he would have been good in like the mid 90s. Sayama's 63 now, so he would have been in his like late like early 40s maybe around that time. So yeah, well that's my list.
All right. Definitely.
Nothing on there I disagree with at all.
No, I don't. Just no. Actually, I don't. You're on point. Great job.
The list will be completely different, but that doesn't mean I disagree.
Well, imagine Liger, Jushin Thunder Liger as WCW champion in like 1999 instead of David Arquette.
Oh my God! I really approve that. No
Dream
offense,
booking would have been. Fuck, man. It would have been against who? I would say, like, fuck. I don't know who you would put him against.
He'd be cool against Booker T. I think.
Yeah, I was going to say Booker T or Benoit.
Yeah,
I say Benoit because I know that
Benoit knows him. Benoit's wrestled him before.
Yeah, because when he was what was he? He was Pegasus, right? Wild Pegasus or Kid?
Yeah, Pegasus Kid.
Pegasus Kid. There you go. Yeah.
I didn't even know I knew that. Jesus Christ.
and Eddie Guerrero was
Tiger Mask, but no, what was he? Was Tiger Mask or Black Mask? No, I forgot. Somewhere.
I think it was like Black Mask. I think
Black Mask.
Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Looks like I'll start off, man.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Number 5. The $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
God damn.
Why? Because it was the greatest fucking heel at that time. And then when he bought his own belt, you know, made it his, you know, the $1 Million belt. He should have been the world champion. That would have been.
I'm mad at myself for not even thinking of that.
Ted DiBiase should have been, and he was at that time he was a fucking badass heel. And him in the IRS, I love it. And him buying the belt.
He had a finisher that people hated to see.
Oh my God, the $1 Million Dream! I love that.
I hated when he locked that thing in.
I'm gonna say this right now. I did use that in a real fight. I'm not gonna lie, it worked.
All right,
it worked because you know put his ass down, but it didn't work. But I gotta give it to DiBiase. I think he would have been a great. Him and Hogan would have been a great feud. Even though they had a feud, but if DiBiase would have won the belt, I think that would have been so fucking different. And he would have just fucking killed it with that. So, and he would have. I would have given him a year run with it. You know, they gave Slaughter a year run with it. You know, with the belt. So might as well you should have given DiBiase a year run with the belt. And oh my God, imagine him paying his opponents here like lay down. Let me pin you. Like that's it.
Oh my God.
Oh
God damn. God damn. Can we go back in time and make you the booker?
Oh shit. That's Vinny, call us, okay? Call us. Hablamos español, okay? So go for you, Tony Khan. All right, that's my number 5. All right. My number 4. Whoo. This is a tough one here. Because you already took 2 that I wanted there, so I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna have to. Another one actually I would have put in that era. I hate, you know, it sounds weird as fuck, but to put his name on this list, but it makes sense because of his persona and the way how he looked will be Bam Bam Bigelow. The reason why I say Bigelow because of his looks and his villain, you know, that he was. And, you know, he was just like Vader, you know, like Stan Hansen reminds you, like, he moves quick. He was, you know, one of those.
His finisher was a moonsault. He's 500-pound motherfucker.
Exactly. He would have been a perfect fucking champ as a heel, you know, during that 94, 95, you know, era, you know, feuding with Bret Hart, for example, you know, that would have been another good rivalry right there.
I was thinking Luger takes the title from Yokozuna instead of dropping it to Hogan or some bullshit like that. Bam Bam Bigelow Luger, because they were pushing Luger as new Hogan.
Right.
Keep Bam Bam as heel, and he was exactly the opposite, a big fat bald guy with a bunch of tattoos.
Exactly, yeah. It's because I think that was like one of the first, if I'm correct, if I'm wrong, that, you know, as him being, you know, a pro wrestler showing more like tattoos, you know, and
he was like the first to be completely covered.
There you go, exactly. Yeah, he was the first one. So I mean, he would have been perfect as a fucking champ, and him being the heel, also have a good long run with it. Have him to either lose to Brett or, you know, at a Mania or at a SummerSlam or a Survivor Series would have been a good feud between him and Brett. You know, after Luger will drop the belt to him. That's I love your booking as well, Chris. Good shit. But yeah, I would put Bigelow on this because Bigelow is because it was his move, his look, and everything overall. He was great on the mic too. So man, that's another. Man, rest in peace, man. That guy,
for sure. Definitely
Bigelow. It's my number 4 on that. All right, my number 3. I'm gonna jump to. I'm gonna have to jump on the WCW. Okay, my number 3 at that time, the wrestling. Shit. Who should? Okay, I just had it in my fucking head. Because I didn't write them all down. I usually have it in my head. I'm trying to think who I should. I actually would have loved Stunning Steve Austin to have been a champ, even though he was a United States champ at the time when he went singles run, like Steve Austin. But it would have been great to see him in a WCW, you know, wearing a WCW belt.
1994.
Yes. Yeah. That would have been another great one right there. Stunning Steve at that time during those 90s era.
He had one squash match with Randy Savage. So we had a dream match that happened, but it was so short, you know.
I loved his feud with Ricky Steamboat. That was actually a great feud that he had was Ricky Steamboat. And I think Austin would have been perfect for at that time, you know, for his career when he went singles for the first time after leaving, you know, Pillman, the Hollywood Blondes. That would have built him up to, you know, towards that. I think that would have been great. All right. So my number two, and I'm saying this, damn, should be Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura should have been champ at WrestleMania against AJ. He should have won the belt. That should have been his shit by then. But I don't know what. Okay, right now he's missing that belt in order to be a Grand Slam champion. He's won every belt already in WWE. He's just missing.
He's like U.S. and Intercontinental, right?
He won the Intercontinental, the U.S. Now he's tagged. Now he's missing
and NXT.
NXT as well. So all he's missing is that.
So many conspiracies on why he hasn't won the title. You know,
it better not be because his English isn't getting better. Is that it?
That's the thing. I think that's always been the issue, that his English is not getting better. That's what Vince has the issue with.
But neither is Asuka's, and Asuka makes it work. Like, I don't speak Japanese, but I know what she's saying when she speaks it because it's just violence.
But you know what? I think we all know in real life, you know, breaking kayfabe up, Asuka, her English is not bad. Her English is very well. It's very well spoken. You can follow her YouTube channel. I'm not promoting you, Asuka. Kana-chan. She does everything. Video games.
We love you. Everything. I love your Chanko recipe.
Man, I love Asuka. That's like one of my favorite girls. But yes, her her English is very well spoken. Nakamura, I think, is too. I don't know. Vince doesn't see it. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with Vince. But that should have been the Mania moment. You know, AJ and Nakamura should have won. He should have won that belt right there at WrestleMania. That's the most def. And now my number 1, ladies and gentlemen, Cesaro. Yeah, Cesaro should have been champ a long fucking time ago.
Any time in his career.
I like his sharpshooter.
Yes.
He has a good sharpshooter.
When he was a Heyman guy, even when he left Heyman, he should have been a world champion by now.
I'm going to real quickly take a restroom break. It'll take me 20 seconds.
Okay,
Sorry.
No worries.
But my copies.
But it should have been Cesaro as the number 1. He should have been. I'm sorry, as the world champ. After Paul Heyman, he should have won the belt by himself, or maybe with Heyman. Maybe I mean, he did win though at the United States, right? I mean, or was it the Intercontinental? No, it was the United States first, right? Before Heyman, he won the United States belt.
Before Heyman, the United States. Yeah.
And then he never won the IC belt, right? I don't remember. I don't think he did. No, he didn't. No.
I don't remember.
No, I don't remember. I don't think he ever won the IC belt. He never had a chance, obviously, at the NXT Championship. I'm sick and tired. They're not pushing him. Cesaro's great. I mean, he's a great performer, even at the time when he was babyface and he was getting that push after when he won the Battle Royal.
WrestleMania 30.
Yep. After that, he's a
Lifted
Cesaro.
up Big Show, threw him over.
And the Cesaro section, I mean, shit, that should have been right there, Cesaro, all the way. They slept. Vince didn't see no potential in him, and I'm so surprised he's still there to this day. But I get it, you know. Cesaro met a lot of good friends there. His English got better, you know. But hey, all
Could be
respect.
Bryan. I think versus Bryan, that would have been the match. Cesaro and Daniel Bryan could have put on the 5-star.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah, man,
1,000%.
they've done that. They've done it in ROH, Ring of Honor. They've done it in PWG before.
Exactly.
Man, Claudio Castagnoli was a fucking man. Especially when him and fucking, obviously, Mr. Hero, Chris Hero, the Kings of Wrestling. Oh, man, that's the best, greatest tag team of all time. But I'm like, in that era. But yeah, moving on. All right, so that's my number one. So now 2 honorable mentions. So my honorable mention, I'm going to mention from New Japan, which I'm really sad about what's going on with him, how they treated him. He should have been a champ a long time ago, will be Sonata. Sonata should have been IWGP heavyweight champion. So I'm a big fan of his work, even though his problem is his fucking mic skills. He doesn't really talk too much. I think that's probably the issue, that why they kind of keep him down. But Sonata could have been the one either. I think he should have been the one beating Evil for the belt. It should have been him, you know, instead of Naito. No disrespect to Naito. I love Naito as well. I love LIJ. But Sonata would have been another great one to win, you know, the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. And because he's fucking great in the ring, man. And I just hope one day, Sonata, one day, I'm going to be rooting for you. One day you'll win that fucking belt. And I hope you do. I hope you do. And my last honorable mention, it's going to be Owen Hart. Owen Hart should have.
I gotta stop you there. Didn't he beat Brett for the belt, or am I just? Did Brett just have the belt and he beat him but didn't take the belt?
Yeah, it was like a non-title. Yeah.
I thought I got you on that one.
Yeah, no,
that's not bad.
non-title.
Damn.
But no, Owen Hart should have been champ when after his brother left. Should have been Bret Hart. It should have been Owen Hart winning it, because that would have been a great feud with him and Shawn. And I thought that that's what they were gonna do, and I think he thought the same thing. That they were gonna have get his revenge, you know, get his revenge on Bret after the whole Survivor Series scandal. Get his revenge on him. Go after DX, beat Triple H. Okay, goes to Michaels, and then Owen winning the belt. That would have been a perfect fucking feud right there, storyline to go with it, you know. And it obviously was real, and that could have been a real fucking shit during that time. And even though I don't know why, I don't know, it's hard.
Shawn got injured.
Yeah, well, you're right, but he could have. But Stone Cold was getting hot at the time anyway, so it was like how
it was his year.
Yeah, it was his year. So it was, you know, it was like kind of like the Hogan type of thing, you know, like how everybody else was kept back down, you know. But I wouldn't mind seeing when it was you know, an Owen Austin feud for the WWF Championship at the time. That would have been great. At least Owen could have won it once, you know, for getting his revenge. You broke my neck, and here I took your belt, you know, type of shit. They could have done something with that too, like that type of storyline. So many opportunities they could have had. With each of these individuals, different opportunities, different platforms on how to, you know, build them up and have, you know, the other
Shawn in that same. Shawn Michaels is in that same position that Hulk Hogan's in, where he's a backstage politician for preventing Owen from getting that belt. You know. Well,
yeah, I mean, but not only that, but like how Mike said, I mean, yeah, it was Austin's time during that time. 98 was Austin. That was his time, and so he was hot in '96. and late 95, early 96. So it was already there for Stone Cold to take it all the way. But it wouldn't
Did
be,
you
like I
guys-
said, would have been a bad idea. Owen Hart wins it one time and then drops it back to Austin. That would have been something, you know.
Were you guys aware of this though? That there was like a thing where they said that Owen Hart was originally the one who was going to be given the game gimmick, the game Owen Hart.
I think I have heard that.
It wouldn't have been the same thing though, because Triple H said it or got that nickname because of that interview.
He dropped
Owen,
it, right? Yeah, he said it.
it was a different context, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
It was like the cerebral assassin Owen Hart,
Right, but I know Triple H did cut a promo where he's like something. If you want to play the game, I am the game, and like kind of came out organically, kind of like the Austin 316 thing did.
Yeah, definitely. All righty, Mr. Hero, you are next. Take the floor.
All right. Well, not everybody can be world champion. That's what I feel like it makes it more special. That there is a list of great legends and wrestlers, past and present, that should have been or should be world champions. So there's always that prestige and that goal to reach that level. So for number 5, I have Wade Barrett. I would have wanted to see him, especially. Okay, everybody has talked about that SummerSlam loss that the Nexus had against John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
I think the perfect way to kind of steer the ship right back to where it was is if they would have given Wade Barrett the title. I know he had the title shot against Randy Orton, and Cena was the referee. If there would have been ever a time, I think that would have been it, given the circumstances that Cena was under contract with the Nexus and whatnot. It would have been an easy way for Barrett to have it. And honestly, I feel that he was good on the mic. He made a good leader for the faction, and it would have saved the Nexus. And obviously, by far, the Nexus was much better at the whole invasion angle than Retribution. So, so there you go, number 5. Number 4, I honestly, he hasn't won it yet, but he will. I'm sure of it. I'm willing to put money on that. And that's MJF. This guy,
It's a matter of time.
It is. It's only a matter of time.
Now you got me excited.
It's debatable whether he should have won it against Moxley or not. He is kind of in the ballpark already, but you know what? He did not win, and right now he's the undisputed, undefeated,
uncrowned.
I like that.
AEW champion of All Elite Wrestling. So that's cool, and that just
keeping him in the picture.
It keeps him in the picture. He's not done yet. So I look forward to seeing him with the title. That's one that could still happen and probably will. My number 3 is kind of this is probably my oddball choice, but I will say that it's Sean O'Hare.
Okay.
Sean O'Hare.
I was going to pick
O'Hare and Jindrak, Sean O'Hare?
What was that?
Like Jindrak and O'Hare, Sean O'Hare?
No. I'm talking about like WWE Sean O'Hare.
Right, but I mean, like we're talking about the same Sean O'Hare.
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah. But I mean,
such an out of the box name that I had to make sure like the same Sean O'Hare. That's fucking crazy, but not. That's good. I
remember when they paired him with Roddy Piper. Hint, right? For the
he's a powerful guy.
He is a powerful guy. He had the look. He had, especially the Devil's Advocate gimmick that they had given him later on. He had all the potential, and he had the finisher, the Widowmaker, which is one of my personal favorites. And he had everything going for him. For whatever reason that I don't know about, they did not go with him, and he's no longer with us. So
yeah, they gave his spot to Orton for some reason, and I forget what the catalyst was for that, because he was supposed to be the 4th in Evolution. Or no, Batista. They gave it to Batista.
It was Jindrak. Jindrak was supposed to be the 4th one. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So my mistake. Because I liked him as a tag team, so I get him confused.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, Jindrak. I mean, Sean O'Hara. I agree with you. especially him with his run with Piper, would have been. It could have been built very, very powerful in a storyline for him. Yeah, he's fucking. He didn't need Piper. Honestly, he did not need him as a manager. No, because obviously the manager will speak for you. But O'Hara by himself, definitely 100%. He could have pulled it off. Maybe even had a little faction. Maybe it could have worked. Could have worked.
I always remember a promo that Piper gave. He said something along the lines of that. I believe in Sean O'Hara so much, he could be the world champion of whatever he wants to be. For whatever reason, that's always kind of stuck to me in my head as a part of that promo. And I believe it. So,
they put him in a feud with Hulk Hogan. That's like,
Yeah, but I mean.
Wasn't that Mr. America?
Mr. America.
When he was Mr. America.
What?
Yeah.
Same person?
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
We're only just finding this out now, everybody. You heard it here first. No.
Heard it here first.
But yeah, so number 3. Number 2 is Roddy Piper.
Okay.
Obviously, I mean the great minds think alike. Give him the title, have Hogan chase after him. And I feel that at the time, WWF was very like aimed for children and kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon sort of vibe to me.
Everybody had a job.
It was like in cartoons you always see the good guys win, and that's like kind of the mentality that I think they had at the time. And so there you go. That's my number 2. Number 1 is Owen Hart.
That's right.
Owen Hart, man.
Great minds think alike.
The guy had the talent, and he had the comedic ability. I feel, he was able to not just go in the ring, but he also did the Blue Blazer thing, and he was entertaining with that, and I have nothing for respect for Owen Hart and everything he did in the ring. It's very, very unfortunate, and I still remember the Dark Side of the Ring episode. Everything that was explained there, and
crazy. Huh?
It's crazy. It is crazy, but definitely, in my opinion, number 1 should have been world champion.
All right.
2 honorable mentions. 2.
Okay.
Let's see. I'll go with this one first. Mr. Perfect.
Okay.
Mr. Perfect, he's the guy that can throw a football and catch it down the road too. I always remember Royal Rumble 2002. I saw him come out. He was like the big surprise there. He had the towel through it and whatnot, and he was being like they were trying to throw him off the top rope, and in the middle of that, he spit out his gum. And he threw it up into the crowd, and if you see it, it's pretty cool. I have tried that a few times, and I'm just not perfect like the guy. So but definitely should have been world champion. A heel like that, especially nowadays, I feel would definitely work. Someone like that thinks he's perfect, and he all the vignettes. Especially nowadays with today's camera work, they could have kept it ongoing and stuff. And my second honorable mention is Zack Ryder.
What?
I would have wanted to see him be world champion.
I don't hate it. He got fucked on that IC belt thing. I thought that was gonna last a while.
Long Island, baby.
The Long Island IC. I remember meeting him and his dad at Access, and they were really cool. They were talking to fans, and it was awesome. And I always remember his YouTube show, The True Long Island Story. And yeah, at that time, man, The Rock was giving his promo, and everybody was chanting for Ryder and stuff like that. So, I think he could have been world champion.
Yeah,
got a great look.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. You know what? You're absolutely right. During that era, during that time when he was, I think that was his first singles title run was the U.S. right when he beat Dolph Ziggler, right? Or was it the IC first? Okay, so that was
United States
first. Okay, yeah, from there he should have been hyped at least for the World Heavyweight Championship.
They should have kept Eve away from him.
Oh my God, they killed him. They
My
killed
goodness.
that story, man.
His WrestleMania moment, what it was, him getting kicked in the crotch by her until winning the IC title, of course, but
And losing it 24 hours later.
And
the
losing,
next
yes.
day on Raw. Jesus.
I never quite understood why they did not go with him.
Just
Usually
to make
there's like a
just to
I
give you.
actually-
Yeah, you go ahead.
No, that's your show. It's your show.
No. Go ahead.
All right. So this is just from what I think I've heard and picked up, and I believe it to be true.
Okay.
Is Zach, aka Matt Cardona?
Mhm.
He had a little bit of what happened to Neil Dashwood. Is that he was too over on his own terms, and the WWE machine doesn't like that. So when he was internet champion and he had a famous website and people loved him more outside than inside the company, and they loved him more than other superstars they were trying to push, they wanted to squash that. And I think by them not pushing him inside the ring, that was their revenge.
gosh, man.
The same thing as I bring up Tennille Dashwood, aka Emma, aka Emelina. She did the same thing, but she refused to tone it down, and they eventually just cut her. You know, they basically buried her, cut her, and then the same thing. But
what was she famous for outside?
she was breaking kayfabe as a face on Instagram and in her DMs and on Twitter. So she was supposed to be a heel, the aviator and the glasses.
Oh,
and
yeah.
kind of be the bitchy character. That's why she went between NXT and WWE so often. But the same day that like a heel angle would air, she would go on Twitter and be like, "What's up, guys? How you doing? It's good to see you." Whatever the fuck she was saying. But she was playing a face and breaking kayfabe on social media. WWE told her, "Hey, man, you're a heel. Act like it." And she just wouldn't do that. And they were like, "See it."
See, but
I think a version of that is what happened to Zack Ryder.
But the thing with that is, or at least in the example of Emma, that she was one character and then another on TV. Zack was Zack through and through, even on YouTube and
but his shine was so much brighter against their wishes. They wanted to push other people and not him. And it's like the Daniel Bryan thing. You just couldn't ignore it with Daniel Bryan. But with Zack Ryder, like, we can ignore this and we'll just bury you to do it. So that I think that's through the channels that I've heard, that is what happened. And if I'm wrong, comment below, call me out. I'm open to new concepts.
That was one of them. The other one is because remind you that you could gamble with this. This was a Vegas gamble, so the odds were a lot in favor for Sammy at the time. So if Sammy was in favor to win it in the Vegas odds, nobody saw it coming with Zack Ryder. Because everybody, if you remember, that was Sammy's, time to win it at that time. Because I think Kevin Owens was the champion at the time. He was the one defending the IC belt in that latter match. So obviously they needed to see Sammy to win it finally, and that everybody, the odds were really up for him. Nobody expected Ryder out of nowhere. So that's why I feel I
marked out like I was 14 years old. He came out with the best.
I was so surprised.
He had he looked like a resurgence of Shane Douglas in ECW, the greatest ring attire I've ever seen in my life. He only got to wear it once, and that's his memory, is that particular match.
Yeah.
At least until whatever happens in NXT, when he, turns on Cody and then fucks shit up. But, we'll see.
Yeah, but definitely, that could have been Zack Ryder's time. Well, hopefully we'll see it in AEW. You never know. You never know. All right. Now to the last one. Our guest himself, CKone. Take it away.
And my list has changed a little bit since the beginning of this podcast. And I haven't really added or subtracted people. It's been the order. And I've tried to keep it as clear as previously mentioned wrestlers as I possibly could. So hopefully it's interesting. My number 5, and I did research while we were doing this to make sure I'm not wrong, is a guy who I think could have had it. He could have had it in the 80s. He could have had it versus Hogan, and it could have been, and it should have been King Kong Bundy. You had a man bigger than Hogan, meaner than Andre, had mic skills, had personality, and I think he had a manager at the time. Off the top of my head, can't remember who it was, but he had all of the necessary criteria to be a big, giant, loud, awesomely hated heel that Hogan could have eventually beaten. sometime down the road. I definitely could have seen that being a main event for the belt. But that is my solid number 5 right there. I think that
Wasn't it Jimmy Hart that wanted to manage him? Or was
I
it Jimmy
think
Hart?
it was either Jimmy Hart or was it Slick? If I'm wrong, it's cool. It was like 35 years ago. I was 1.
It was, yeah. Well, I mean, at least he had his break, you know, WrestleMania 2. He main evented, you know.
Yeah, I'm looking right here. Yeah, first by Jimmy Hart, and then defeated. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was Jimmy Hart for sure.
Mhm.
Definitely cool. Yeah, and Jimmy Hart is nothing but money, no matter who he's with.
Hell yeah. Come on, baby, let's go, baby. You get to go ahead and do it, baby. Let's go, baby. Go, baby.
And that was good. We got to get you a megaphone and some glasses.
I'll have a Halloween costume right there.
You're gonna have to manage me, man.
All right, come on, okay, you got the right hero, man. Let's go, man.
There you go.
My number 4 is I am more entertained by this man fake fighting than I am by him real fighting, and he is the world's most dangerous man in Ken Shamrock.
Oh, I like that. I love it. I
think he could have. I think his lack of mic skills. I don't even think he ever really was on the mic. I think he talked a little bit before his Bret Hart Austin match that he repped. He kind of went over the rules, and that was the last time anybody ever heard of him. He took that chair shot from hell from The Rock in like '98. Holy fuck! Oh my god, that was so cringe. And then joined, the corporation as basically the muscle. But I think he could have feuded with The Rock when The Rock went face and took the title. I think that would have been sick. I think that he could have been the quiet champ. I think he could have had a quick feud with Dan Severn, Owen Hart, The Rock, and just not even a long reign, maybe like 6 months, have it end in a cage match, something like that. But he was such an underrated athlete between those ropes, dude. He was fast. He made the MMA style work for wrestling. He was the first to do it.
Pioneer.
He definitely laid the path for Brock to come over and kind of assimilate that style and elaborate on it.
don't forget Dan Severn.
For sure.
Severn,
Dan Severn was after, because that's when UFC was kind of reaching its golden era. So Ken came, and then Dan came after that, and then they kind of put Owen Hart in a feud with Ken Shamrock for the European title when they first brought in that octagon. I remember Ken wall walked up it. He ran up the cage, backflipped over Owen Hart, and got him in that rear naked choke, but reverse type deal.
Yeah.
Fuck, that was sick.
Awesome.
I would have loved to have seen that.
Brett actually was considering dropping to Ken because Brett hated Sean so much.
Yeah, he would talk to anybody but Sean, and there's Ken. Would have been perfect. God,
That would have been perfect. That would have been so perfect. Two great.
Yeah, and then maybe have Ken drop it to Sean, make Ken the buffer. Ken drops it to Sean drops it to Austin. Attitude Era begins. The rest is history.
Yeah.
Nice. That's fucking awesome. Book it.
You avoid the Montreal screw job altogether.
Look, bro.
Oh, you're right.
Oh my God. Yes.
Right. They're so good. Goddamn. Can we just go back to 1998 Vince Russo, 97? That was
machine.
Yeah. Number 3 is going to be how this isn't on any of your list. I'm almost disappointed, but it's a gentleman in NXT by the name of the Velveteen Dream.
Okay.
Should have had that belt 2 years ago. Should have lost it by now, but should have had it by now. That's for damn sure.
Very much.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. He is over as a heel. He's over as a face. He's got swag for days. He can talk. He can wrestle. He's a beautiful person on the outside. I'm not addressing any speculation surrounding him right now because I don't know him personally or the events that are under the microscope right now. But 2 years ago, even up to a year ago, if anything, he should have beaten Adam Cole for the belt and then dropped it to Adam Cole for the belt.
I agree.
It should have been the way it
was.
was.
Because they've had an Elvis gimmick. They've had a Michael Jackson gimmicks. Now, a Prince gimmick was an inevitability. And, that's going to be awesome and get over big time.
And he put his own Rick Rude spin on it because he's literally just the Velveteen Rick Rude Prince dream. But as soon as that music dropped, people went nuts, whether it was as heel. I mean, he started off as a heel, but you just loved him so much that the universe turned him face. And then they ran with that. But he can perform on all entertainment factors. He has it all, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I hope whatever happens with him regarding his issues right now are cleared up.
I hope so, too.
In any direction. If if whatever happened that's bad is proven, or if it's proven that it didn't happen. I hope it gets cleared up.
I'll personally say this here. It's really just up to whatever Vince wants to do, because at the end of the day, it's just whatever Vince wants.
Yeah, they err on the side of caution. They err on the side of caution, which is super respectable. Again, I don't know the details. I wasn't there for whatever incident is being considered right now. So I'm only talking about a year to 2 years ago. So
yeah,
that's my number 3. I stand behind that. Right? Was that number 3? It was King Kong, Ken, Velveteen.
Yeah.
Awesome. Whew, man, I got to figure out my number 3 or my number 2, my number 1.
Yeah, number 2 and 1 and 2 honorable mentions.
Yeah, the honorable mentions I definitely have. Man. Oh, I got him. Already have him. Boom. Number 2. Yeah, should have happened in '97. Should have happened versus Undertaker. Should have happened not at a WrestleMania, but it would have been cool if it did. But Vader.
Mm-hmm.
He was in line to get that belt. Shawn pulled some strings, pulled Vader from the title match. I think he was supposed to be an Undertaker WrestleMania. I think he was supposed to be the first one to do it. Should have happened. Didn't happen. And that's why he just made the list.
That's right. He just made the list.
Vader was awesome. Vader was big. He could wrestle. He wouldn't be pushed around physically. He would stand up for himself in the locker room. You can see it in his media interviews. He would have been a great heel to have hated. You could have put him up against anybody that was a face. You could have put him up against Brett.
He would have added a lot of prestige to that WWF belt, just because, like, you have a former IWGP and WCW champion.
Exactly.
And All Japan.
He was huge in those markets before the internet. Before you had to read actual dirt sheets. Pro Wrestling Insider was printed on paper, I believe, back in the day, when Meltzer was just an intern type of deal, and he was already huge in those countries. And then coming to America and introducing them, have him hold those belts, even if you didn't have them at the time. Announce him as the former Japanese, former European, whatever titles he had.
Vader beat Inoki.
That's huge. That's a big deal. But people just didn't know about it because they couldn't Google it, and you had to hear about it from whatever Vince wanted to hear, who was the filter for the information you were getting about his characters. But yeah, Vader is a solid number 2. I could have put him at number 1. I wouldn't be mad if I did. But I don't think there's anything wrong with putting this man at number 1, because he's a decent guy. He's a good fellow, and he is the best man. And his name is Miro Rusev. I think that in the past 3 years, before the Bobby Lashley fiasco, during the feud with John Cena for the U.S. title, he could have been given that run instead of Jinder Mahal. That should have been Rusev. I understand that Vince wanted to get break into that Saudi Arabian market. I think that if it was any other market in Europe, it should have been Rusev. He had all the physical skills, the heat. He didn't need to talk because he had Lana. Lana could have been the biggest female heel since Luna. She still kind of is, but I think it's general. I think it's actual heat, not character heat. I think people just generally don't like her. Mm-hmm. But I know for a fact Miro is going to be champion in NXT or AEW. My bad. Soon. And by soon, I don't mean like within a year. I mean within his lifetime, he's going to be AEW champion. Sorry, that's a slip.
Awesome.
That is my 5 list. I like that list. None of that upsets me.
I love it. That's awesome. Fucking incredible. Yeah.
Solid. Cool. My first honorable mention, I'm stretching the truth of the order of this title reign, because technically she is this the first female on the list, right?
First female on the list.
Shame on us, man.
I know, right?
Okay.
Man.
So because this title got absolved and renamed and the division completely changed, I am going to use executive decision to say AJ Lee, but in the modern era, not the Divas champion. That is not the women's championship.
I agree.
AJ Lee, if she stuck around, I would love to have seen her in her prime versus the roster we have now against Prime Becky, Prime Charlotte. Can you imagine AJ Lee versus Sasha Banks in any main event on a pay-per-view?
That would have been great.
Been the shit right there.
Incredible. That would have been how Mr. fuck you, Dave Meltzer would have been like, oh, 5-star.
Yeah, for sure. I understand why she left, but it is a shame that she left before she started the revolution with Paige, and then she disappeared. And that NXT, the NXT 4 horsewomen, the Asukas, the returning Mickie James, would have been sick to see AJ Lee up against any one of them. She would have been the ultimate heel. It would have been just amazing. That would have been one of the best feuds against any one of them with her as a heel.
Definitely. I'm 100% with you with that. She would have fit perfectly with this one. Even in the NXT roster, she would have fit fucking perfect too.
Absolutely, yeah. Against Candice LeRae, against Nikki Cross at the time. Alexa Bliss, holy fuck.
Exactly. You know, like so many dream matches she could have. All of them. All of them.
Yeah, because that roster now is, I mean, compare that to the roster when AJ Lee was running shit. It was like Jackie Gata and Eva Marie, and, you know, it's like
Marlena. That would have been another.
But it doesn't compare to the spectacular athletes in that women's division. There is Ronda Rousey.
Well, yeah,
man.
No, I agree, but I'm seeing Melina was great in the ring too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but that was kind of the end of the models trying to use wrestling as a platform for their career.
Yeah,
and ushering in the women who wanted to actually be wrestlers.
Definitely.
Which is where we're at now. Put her in that mix, that would have been sick.
Oh yeah.
And the last honorable mention, it's a bit of a tough one. And I'm just going to cut right to it. It should have been me. I should have kept with my career in pro wrestling. I should have got a pro wrestling gorilla. I should have been the champion at least in 3 indie divisions at the same time. I should have been running shit. Not the Young Bucks, not Cesaro, not Trevor Lee, Cameron Grimes. It should have been me, Austin. It was me. I want my WrestleMania moment.
Because I could see you as like Ring of Honor champion in maybe like very recent times, and I could see you. I could see you. If you get cozy enough with the AEW folks, I think I could see you as AEW champ.
I saw Cody Rhodes at my bank in Burbank a couple years back. He is a larger than life motherfucker. He looks smaller on screen. All pro wrestlers are at least 8 times bigger in person. And I was like, oh shit, that's Cody Rhodes. We're the same height. He was just like a door. I was like, fuck, I could never stand next to this guy and look like I'd be competition.
You know what, guys? I'm gonna make a prediction right now. So here's how the booking is gonna be. Jack Perry's going to get the title in the next 4 years.
He lives a block away from me outside of quarantine. Yeah. About that.
So Jungle Boy's going to get that title within the next 4 years, and then he's going to drop it to Chris.
Oh, bring it on, Jungle Boy Jack Perry. Me, you, that dinosaur fuck friend of yours from 65 million years ago, I'm going to put him back in the dirt with this asteroid of a right hand.
And I'll book the match in something that's kind of a ripoff of Hell in a Cell. And it's gonna be like the birdcage match, and it's gonna be you and him. And I'm gonna have a very unique referee for you.
The Cretaceous Crusher.
I love it. I fucking love it. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you right now. I would have seen you, MOW, Ring of Honor.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Straight on, honestly, would have seen you in these Ring of Honor, MOW, maybe even NWA. If
that would be NWA. I know. Wait. I think NWA. Billy Corgan bought NWA, and I think he's trying to put shows on in Oxnard in the bubble. I think it might be open to limited fans like AEW is. If and when that happens, whoever finds out first when those tickets are available, let everybody else here know, and we're all fucking going.
Definitely.
I'll go pick anyone. I don't know where you all live. I know Matt.
I live in Hollywood.
Perfect. You're a block away. Mm-hmm. I will drive all of you there and back. That is a trip we have to make once that's a thing we can do.
Definitely. Oh man, these fucking picks were great, and I love every one of these picks.
My favorite pick was Chris. Chris was my favorite pick of tonight. I gotta say.
So stay tuned for next week for obviously episode 22. And also stay tuned for the next top 5 pick for week 22 as we're going to pick our top 5 managers of all time. Top 5 managers.
That never had a champion for candidate. Or no, I'm just kidding. We don't need to make it complicated. Just top 5 managers.
Top 5 managers.
Yeah, we don't need to be one culture with this.
We could go to the, from the past to the present, great managers, top 5 of all time that we enjoyed and we love.
Tell you right now, man, I already got my 5 out. So just let me know if you want me on that one.
Absolutely. We will look for you to come next week.
I already have it. It's already handled. I'm not changing it. We're done.
Right. You got it. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Every Friday, every Sunday, our weekly episodes. Every Sunday, our top 5. So don't forget to subscribe below and to this, to the channel, and also, the description below our social media platforms and our website, which we're currently working. Still have more content going. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get back to you next Friday. Once again, your host, I'm the Devious One, alongside with the Great American Hero, Mike Lopez, and MGC, Mr. Steamboat, and of course, CKone, Mr. Chris Kennedy, saying to you guys, salud, and see you next week.